Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. I am sort of back. I don't know how this show is going to go. I'm going off the cuff, but to be honest with you, it's just something I feel like I need to do. I need to shoot straight from the cuff, and I need to be honest about where I've kind of been in the last couple of months, coming in and out of this show and not being very consistent with it. And anybody that knows me knows I love this show. Everyone has been asking me, "Are you going to do your show? Are you going to do your show?" And I kept thinking, yeah, and then no, and then yeah, and then no. So I'm going to be a little honest about this journey, but I'm also going to talk a little bit about where this came from. So, I started the show in July of 2020, kind of in the middle of the pandemic, right? I needed something to do to get out of my head. And I thought, I found these crate cards when I think I was in Tucson visiting baby sibling when I got these. But I thought, wow, I love these. And I was doing them every day, kind of as journal prompts. And I thought, whoa, maybe I should do more of this. Now, here's the interesting thing. The deck felt a little light. So I got some cards missing here, and I have no idea. I'm being honest with you. I have no idea where they went, because I like to keep everything neat and tidy. But what I found interesting was that the card at the top was trust. Trust. And that's the one thing I've not been doing. It's the one thing my therapist keeps telling me to do, is to trust myself. And I'm going to read that card in a bit. But I tell you, it never fails, right? The minute I hit play or live, record, whatever, it's like, whoosh, here comes the sinuses. But I feel like I also owe an explanation, because I know there's a lot of people. You can see how fidgety I am because I'm getting a little nervous here. Not because of what I'm going to talk about, but because, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm so fidgety. It's just like, oh, nerves. A little bit of anxiety. But I figure I am as much of an open book about my own personal life as I can be, because I know it helps people. I know it I know it helps people because I've gotten feedback from people. And I know when I don't do my show, there are people who I didn't even realize were watching it, asking, "Are you okay? I haven't seen your show in a while," blah, blah. I did move my show from my Facebook page, my private Facebook page, to the Aloha Perspective Facebook page. And that's just because leaving my page open was getting too much of those weird, be my friend, you're hot, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that. And it's like, okay, hi, spammer, No Nigerian princes yet, though. So anyways, I started this show to kind of get out of my head. And then I realized other people were watching. And I don't get a lot of live viewers. So a lot of times I wonder why I just don't either YouTube this or just pre-record it or what. But I kept going. And I loved it. And I didn't realize until I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about this morning that it was kind of cathartic for me. It was part of my own healing journey. And all this time I thought, well, no, I've been on this healing journey, yeah, but I'm getting there and blah, blah. And then somewhere in the middle of it all, I realized it was a part of my healing journey. But it wasn't until this morning that I really realized it was my healing journey, not a part of it. It was my healing journey. And part of what's kind of held me up over the last couple of months since the beginning of the year and not being consistent with the show, especially at the end of last year, is that I've reached the end of this healing of my trauma. And, I realized over the weekend, I attended a volunteer orientation for a hospice because my therapist says, hey, you need to go out and volunteer and you need to get back out in the world, Shelly Marie. You've got this great energy, blah, blah, blah. People need to see you again. And I used to love volunteering, but I never thought about that, right? I never thought about, hey, yeah, let's just get it back out. And so she always knows when she gives me homework, I am going to come through. And I did. And it wasn't until I was going through this orientation where they talk a lot about death, because it is a hospice. But thinking, well, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why did it have to happen to people I care about? It's inevitable. Whether it's, too early as we think. I mean, my mom was 66, okay, and Sissy Joe was 46. She was going to be 47 that year that she passed, just 10 months after my mom, 2014 and 2015 respectively. And then a couple years later, my friend took her own life in 2017, and those two, Sissy Joe and my friend, they never reached 50. And it's like, wow. In fact, I was reading an article about the other day about people who never lived past 27. And what was interesting is Sibley and I, we've been watching this show, Manhunt. Excellent show on Apple TV if you haven't seen it. But I'm telling you right now, just as a side note, I'm going to start waiting for these shows to end and then stream them, because I did that with Masters of the Air, also an excellent show. And they actually share an actor, but I'm not going to tell you who, because I want you to watch them both, because they're very good stories. They're historical dramas based on, books written, nonfiction books written by people. Well, obviously written by people. I can't remember their names, but I totally forgot what I was saying. This is my brain right now. We were watching the show, and we were watching it all the way through. Fuck, I've totally forgot what I was saying. Never mind, I'll circle back. But anyways, the point is, because that was my side note, right? I don't even remember what I was talking about. This is how my brain has been. And I thought, well, there must be something wrong with me. But I realized I'm not sure there is, because when we were talking about how, death is just a part of life, regardless of how old somebody is or how old somebody isn't, yeah, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt us. And I didn't realize how much I hadn't grieved my mother or even Sissy Joe. I think I spent more time grieving Sissy Joe than I did my mom. And I think a lot of times when I talk about the shortcomings in my mom's and my relationship, it's not to put her down. My mom came from a different generation, and I know, people like to call them boomers, but, I really hate that term. And I'll tell you why. Because these people, even older sibling and I are 15 years apart. Okay, so what's interesting about that, though, is that I personally love history. I do. I mean, it is one of my favorite things. There's just a lot of different things that history can provide. And I hate the term boomers for this reason. We literally are sitting amongst people who are walking history books. Like I just mentioned, older sibling is several years older than me, and she lived through a decade. She lived through the 60s, and it's fascinating to ask her, I know you were a kid, but do you remember this? Do you remember that? And so we really need to start looking at them as being more of, our connection to the past before they're gone. Yeah, they have some outdated, ideals, not all of them, but some of them. And, we have to be patient and work through that with them, but not all of them do. Okay, a lot of that is just upbringing. You could have someone that we call a boomer that has the same ideals as someone who's Gen Z. Because it's upbringing. It's what is ingrained into our heads, whether it's good stuff or very, very bad stuff that makes, kind of puts a negative spin on other things. But going back to my point, and even the part about not remembering what I was about to talk about, I realized that during this journey, a lot of it has been part of my own healing journey. And as I reached the end of my healing journey towards the end of last year, I realized I'm kind of stuck. I just froze. Now, it's hard for me to talk to my therapist about that. I mean, I'm very open with her, and I love her for a bunch of other things. So her shortcoming in this department is not something I really want to focus on, because I always feel like if there's something that she's not covering with me, or we kind of just, kind of skip around and kind of take the long way around it or the short way right through it, I know that it's up to me to figure it out. And so, I've taken on that responsibility, and I've really, really tried. And as I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about this morning, I realized one thing, and that's that I was trying so hard to be relatable when I was doing the Aloha Perspective, and kind of coming in and out and being sporadic about it, and with the long, some of the topics that we did over a couple of days. And I realized I need to figure out where my platform is now, because I'm not on that healing journey anymore. I mean, yeah, there's still some parallel, things that I am healing. But the majority of my healing, the trauma that caused my healing, I'm through that. I'm past that. And I think part of the problem is I kept trying to be that relatable person from the perspective of still being on the healing journey, that I kept sending myself back into that position. And it really kind of confused my brain. It really kind of, if you will, knocked me on my ass. It really freaking knocked me on my ass. And, for anybody that watches the show and watches it consistently, you will know I got a mouth. So, I apologize, not trying to offend anyone. This is just who I am. And I always speak to the fact that I think people should just be who they are. Be a good person. Don't be a bad person, okay? Don't be mean. Don't be horrible. Be kind to everybody around you. Don't be judgmental. We got enough judgmental people in this world. Try not to be that either, okay? I realize that I need to find where I stand in a position of being a healed person, trying to guide the unhealed or the healing towards where I'm at. And so I need to take the time to figure that out. So I don't know if the Aloha Perspective is going to be consistent at the moment. I do want to get back to doing it daily because it's something I truly, truly love. It really is. And it's gotten to a point where it's felt more like a chore than something I enjoy doing. And I don't want that feeling because it starts to show in my persona. It starts to show in kind of the way I half-ass things. It starts to show in a lot of different ways. And you deserve better than that. And I deserve better than that. So, I don't know if it'll be consistent to begin with. So I'm not going to give you the time or a date. You're probably just going to show up if you see it. If you're meant to see it live, you're meant to see it live. Otherwise, you're just going to see it on the replay. I do post it to YouTube, so you can find all the videos there if you do miss it here. Or if you're not on Facebook, because I do post this to Twitter and I do a shorter version for TikTok. But yeah, which who knows what's happening with TikTok now, right? And I also post it to Instagram. So it's not like you can't find me, right? It's just a matter of how often. So I am going to work back to being on top of things. And I do have some topics that I already want to talk about. Some things that I think will be really, really good for us. But like I said, I need to get myself back to a place where it doesn't feel like it's work, where it feels like it's something I love doing. And in a way it is kind of work because there's a lot I have to do after the show is over, like posting it and doing the second half of the show, the shorter version. And I didn't mind that. I loved it. It was like part of my daily routine. But like I said, I've kind of worked myself back to ground zero. And I need to figure out who I am and to build myself up from there. So there are two things I wanted to read. I said I was going to read you the trust thing, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. But also, I found this. This is interesting. So the thing is that my therapist told me, my other piece of homework was, you have to learn to trust yourself. She's all, Shelly Marie, that is your biggest obstacle, is you do not trust yourself. And I don't. And I'm not surprised by that because I feel like, there are people my age who are so far along in where they're at, and I'm still here feeling like I'm a feather in the wind, just floating and trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be. And I think that's one of the things I want to point out. It doesn't matter how old you are, okay? Healing can slow you down. Trauma can slow you down. And I know people will say, well, that's just an excuse, but it's not. Because it kind of upends you. I swear to you. I swear to you, and I'm not making fun of people who have this, but I swear to you, I want to ask my doctor to test me for ADD. Because I'm just like a squirrel lately. It's like, oh, what? It's just kind of like, what's happening? And so, see? I mean, I couldn't even remember what I was talking about earlier, and I had to circle back. I was talking about 2 shows on Apple Plus, and then poof, I was off in another direction. But that is not a memory problem, I promise you. That is something I've been reading about on how when we're in a healing state, our brain is kind of fixing itself, to kind of align with our heart and soul. And I know a lot of people go, oh God, heart and soul thing. Yeah, but that's where I come from. Okay, that's where I come from. And that's stuff I'm teaching myself. I am trying to unlearn all the bad habits, all of the old beliefs that held me back, beliefs that I picked up along the way, maybe even from people like adults around me when I was a kid, stuff that gets ingrained in our head when we're children that we don't realize is sitting there creating a constant loop of negativity in our head. And I need to let go of those things. I need to figure out how to be a more positive person. I know a lot of people don't believe in I know I'm going to step into a spiritual area here. All right. Like manifesting. Okay. People are like, yeah, that's bullshit. That's not okay. Whatever you want to say. That's your choice. That's your belief. But my belief is if we put the right energy out there, things are going to come to us as they're meant to come to us. So older sibling recently tore her rotator cuff. And I knew I had a shoulder brace around here somewhere. She bought herself a sling, which isn't very functional. It's not that great. It feels like it's more for a broken all. And so I kept thinking, I told her the other day, it's like, you know what? I forgot. I have a shoulder brace from when, I had to go through physical therapy and everything. And I'm going to see if I can find it, but I couldn't find it. I knew where I put it, but I couldn't, for some reason, I just couldn't find it. And this morning I was grabbing my little, I have these little weight things, and I was grabbing it and it fell on the floor. It was sitting right underneath them. But I can tell you this, it wasn't there before because I keep track of where everything is in my room, and it was not there. So whatever happened, it poofed through that poof hole and poofed right into my room. So now I can help her out with that. I know you could take that as you want it, but I was kind of like, oh, it does work when we think about it and when we put the right energy towards things. But look at it this way. Think about when you've had a bad day, right? You've had a bad day, or maybe your day started out bad. You stubbed your toe. This is one of my favorite analogies. You stubbed your toe, you start swearing up a storm. It's like, oh, my whole day is going to be shit, blah, blah, blah. And your whole day turns into shit, right? But what if you do the same thing the next day and you're like, oh God, I stubbed my toe again. What is happening? It's like, you know what? No. Yesterday was a bad day. I'm going to make today a good day. So you just kind of blow it off and everything, and the 2 days are probably absolutely identical. But what changes is your mindset. Instead of going into the day, looking at everything like it is a pain in the ass and a problem, you're going into the day saying, yeah, I stubbed my toe, but you know what? Whatever. It's over. I don't even feel it anymore. I'm not going to let it ruin my day. I'm going to have a great day. And you start to see everything differently. So like I said, they could be 2 identical days. Nothing different except for what you're wearing, how your hair might look, maybe the way you drove into work, whatever. But it's the way we face it because it's the energy we're putting out there. When we put negative energy out there, all the negative shit's going to come at us. And how we deal with it, it could ruin your day or it could make it better. And like I said, the same people could come up with the same questions the next day because maybe you're like, you know what, I can't deal with this right now. Can you come back to me later? And they might come up to you the next day with the same questions, right? And it might be something so simple that they can figure out themselves. But you're sitting there and you just go, because you're in a better mood, you deal with it better. And then everything's handled. So what I found interesting though is because I kind of feel like I'm in this space, right? I see people that have, lost somebody or gotten a divorce and suddenly they found their soulmates, the love of their lives. And I'm sitting here going, what about me? Why am I so alone? What is my soulmate on the moon or something? So you start thinking about this, right? And I know that I've mentioned it a couple times, like being single is not all that bad. It's not, but it is nice to share things with people. And I watch them go through their healing process, but I watch them do it with somebody who's right by their side. Now, granted, I do have an awesome support group, but there's something different, right? About when you're with that special someone, that someone that just sometimes feels like they make everything better. And I kept thinking, why don't I get that? And so then I thought, you know what? When I was thinking about that this morning, because those were all thoughts I had this morning, I suddenly opened up Facebook to go to this page. And on this page, smack dab, hitting me in the face, was this from Project Happiness. Be so confident in who you are that you're willing to eat alone, sleep alone, do the inner healing work, and flourish without approval. I'm not good at flourishing without approval, so I need to work on that. And whenever you find yourself doubting how far you can go, remind yourself how far you've come. You're always stronger than you think you are. We are always stronger than who we think we are. It doesn't matter whether you have that significant other or not. I mean, it can make a difference. I get it. Some people probably need that. And I'm not putting down the people that have that. I'm not. This was more about me, like, well, wait, what about me? But then I thought, I have me. I have this new version of me that I'm still trying to figure out. So in a way, I'm kind of in a relationship with myself, this new person I'm getting to know, because I'm not the trauma-based, trauma-brained even person that I used to be. I'm trying to find this path where I can leave the past behind and start living this wonderful life that, I've dreamt about, that I've wanted for so long. And, to get past the age thing, to get past the, well, I'm this year, how many years old? Nobody's going to want this, that, or the other. And to just believe that anything is possible. Every time I believe that I cannot have a relationship in the decade that I'm in now, I see someone posting, oh my God, and they're usually older than me, going, wow, I found this, I found that. And it's like, wow, okay, so it is possible. Anything is possible when we believe it is possible. If we believe that things are not going to work out for us, they are not going to work out for us, because you're putting that energy out there. If you're a person who prays, think about it that way. You're not praying to God saying, hey, don't make this happen for me. No, you're praying to God saying, dear Lord, please help me move along this path, or help me figure out how to get there, or please, I would like this, that, or the other, and they will show you the way. Whoever your higher power is, whether it's God, the universe, or another deity out there, because not everybody has the same religion, right? I mean, there are like over 1,000 religions out there. So whatever it is, when you believe and you put your trust to believing that, or you send that request to your higher power, think about that. Remember how you're praying. You're not praying for it not to happen. You're praying for it to happen. And you're putting your faith and your trust in that higher power to make it happen. But if you get in the way, it's not going to happen. And a lot of times we do that. It's like somebody giving, like us giving someone a task, right? Hey, can you go put the streamers up for so-and-so's birthday party? And then you end up going, I don't like it that way. I don't like it that way. I don't like it that way. Well, why did you ask them to do it then? Just do it yourself. But you already have a handful of stuff to do, right? So just let them do what they're doing. Okay? You're obviously delegating to someone that you know is capable. So let them do their job. Let them do what they're meant to do. It's the same with manifesting or praying. And you can always finish it with either your amen or saying, hey, fill in higher power, right? I would like this, that, or the other. And you can always finish it with, your amen and this or something better, and then your amen. Because what you're asking for may not exactly be meant for you, but the right thing will come to you if you leave yourself open to it. All right. So I'm going to finish it off with the Affirmators deck. And this one, it's like I said, I don't know where the rest of the cards are. I hope they magically reappear, because I'm telling you, I love this deck, and I'm just like, where's the rest of them? I mean, look. Half of them are gone. I gotta figure out where they are. But it's the Trust card. And here you have a little bear who's blindfolded with a mouse on its balancing stick and a shark ready to eat it. Okay? And what's interesting about this is that the bear is trusting the mouse to guide them. So you can think of the mouse as being like your higher power, or a friend, or part of your support group. And it says, I trust that everything will be okay in the end, partly because I simply know it in my gut, but also because it's way more fun to live with trust and confidence than to be a defensive wiener. I know. I love the Affirmators deck. They're like so in your face, it's not even funny. But it's true. And as you can see, that's one of the places that I've mentioned I struggle. I struggle with trust. So when we struggle with trust, and we don't trust ourselves, that can make everything harder. So do yourself a favor. Best to not put yourself behind the 8 ball, okay? Because I think we do a lot of that by not trusting ourselves. Remind yourself that you deserve good things, and say it to yourself until you absolutely believe it, that you're not even thinking negatively anymore. We're going to have negative thoughts. We're human. We're human. We are going to have negative thoughts. People, as I mentioned in the beginning, people are going to die, okay, around us. It is going to happen. Death is a natural part of life. whether we think it's too early for someone, as I mentioned before, or you're just hoping that they pass because they're going through such a miserable disease. And it's not that, don't feel guilty when you feel that. Don't feel guilty. There's a lot of people I know who have family members who have terminal illnesses. And even the person is like, why am I still here? And there have been a lot of advances in options, but those options are still on shaky ground. And so they're not always that easy. But, what someone decides for themselves, we have to be okay with. When my mom chose to finish or to be done with her treatment, saying, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. This is not living. I didn't like it. My dad didn't like it. But we didn't say anything to her. We honored her choice. I even told her, I said, I don't like your decision, but I understand your decision. Because I wanted her to know how I felt. I wanted her to know that I love her so much that I knew she was not going to be with us much longer. But I think I knew that from her diagnosis. The diagnosis she had was at terminal with a cancer with no cure. So, my mom had pancreatic cancer. I mean, anything past 2 is basically terminal. Unless you're really, really lucky. But hers was terminal. It wasn't even stage 4. Okay, let's be real here. They called it stage 4, but no, it was not. She had a tumor the size of a fist inside of her. And, once something hits the pancreas is so important. Take care of your pancreases, okay? Because it's so important to your body. You need it. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't until this weekend during that orientation that I realized I don't think I really truly mourned my mom. I was waiting for so long. My dad and I deal with grief very, very differently. And I wanted us to be able to grieve together, but that's not how my dad grieves. And my dad kind of just one of those, and he'll say it right too, I just push it down and move on. And I know that he misses my mom. I know that he thinks about my mom. I know that he gets sad about my mom, I'm sure, from time to time, because we've talked about that. But I realized I had to do this for myself. I can't wait for everybody else to do it with me. I needed to do it. And so now I think that was kind of the cherry on the cake of my grieving. I mean, not that there should be a cherry on that cake, but you know what I mean. It was the cherry on top. It was the aha moment that I had that, oh, you know what? I've got to let this go. It doesn't mean I'm not going to miss her every day. I do, but the saying I had even before I lost my mom or Sissy Joe was, we never get over it. We learn to live with it. And I don't think I wanted to learn to live with it because that made it final. But it's been almost 10 years. And I'm pretty sure mom's not coming back. So, we cremated her, so definitely not coming back. But that being said, as I mentioned, this is why I said at the very beginning of the show, this show was going to be off the cuff. Don't know what direction I'm going in with it. But I've kind of been all over the page. And this is kind of how this whole last 5 or 6 months have been, just all over the page and not sure whether I'm coming or going. I've also had to deal with a head cold that became bronchitis, that became pneumonia. So I'm also just getting my energy back and trying to get the rest I needed. The pneumonia is finally going away. But yeah, so I don't know if this show is going to be consistent every day, but I promise you, and I do make this promise, I promised before that I would be back. And I made that promise thinking I got to do this show every day. But I wanted to come on. I didn't think the show would be as long as it is right now. But I wanted to come on to say, I promise I'm going to be back to the weekly routine. But I have to make sure it's fun for me so that when I come across, it's fun for all of you, or it's educational for all of you, or it's helpful for your healing journeys, whether you're at the beginning, the middle, the end, or even not even started your healing journey yet. Like I said, I've received a lot of feedback from people that I've helped, and it really, it filled my heart. But I have to learn to fill my cup with my own joy so that I can give you what you deserve. And what you deserve is a show that is not going to feel like it's half-assed. It's not going to feel like it's forced and that I'm just trying to sit there and be there for you because I can't figure my own shit out. And I am trying to figure my shit out. Like I said, I'm between this place of surviving and thriving. And I'm right in that middle. I'm no longer on that healing journey, like I said, except for the things that might be parallel to that already healed stuff that just the little ancillary things, right? That you just come up and you're just like, okay, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to journal about it. And I'm going to let it go. But I'm between that place and trusting myself with my future and trusting that I can step into the unknown without freaking out and just crawling back into a hole. And the harder I pushed myself to do that, the farther back I went. So I need to make sure that when I do the show, I'm not putting myself back into a place of needing to be healed. I need to figure out how to get into this show and help guide people through their healing as opposed to being on that journey with them. And I think part of that problem for me, part of that issue is that I just didn't trust that people would accept that. Why would someone want to listen to somebody already healed? But then I thought about that when the words came out of my mouth, and I thought, so they can see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. We have to be the light for other people. We have to help them carry their lights when they're unable to carry their own. And, I was lucky enough to have older sibling be there for me in the earlier part of this year and the end of last year, baby sibling was. We've all been on our own journeys. And we all have to figure it out one way or the other, right? So I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. For those of you that popped on, thank you so much for joining me. For those of you that see this later, thank you for watching. And like I said, I may be back tomorrow. I may not. I'm really not sure. But I am going to try to be more and more consistent until, again, I'm back to Monday through Friday. And the show's times are going to vary. I always thought, well, I need to make it short or I need to make it longer. No, whatever I have to say, I'm going to say. And if it's 5 minutes long, it's 5 minutes long, okay? It's the perspective. I'm here to help give people perspective. I hope even by having this long-winded show today about everything, right? A little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Today was definitely a whole lot of everything. I'm hoping that it will help people kind of see where they need to go, see where they need to be, because it can be hard. It can be painful. And we need to be each other's champions. And especially those who have been through the healing, we need to show people that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that it is worth it. It is worth all the pain and the agony and the tears and the screams and the yells and all that icky stuff that we have to go through, like basically crawling through mud or muck or just crap, right? To get to that other side. And it's worth it. So I'm going to work on me. You all work on you. And hopefully I will be back very, very soon. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I don't know. But have a great day.